Today's podcast, we're going to catch up with Mark Cleverley. He is my partner at BVA. Mark is an incredible guy, real estate broker here in the Treasure Valley for a long time. Was at TOK, where he was their number one office broker, and then we've been partners for, I think it's around 12 or 13 years. I wanted to get him on to talk about just what's going on in the world of real estate. A lot of folks that listen to this are in real estate, and what is the future of office, both here in the Treasure Valley and in the country. You hear a lot of things, but I thought it'd be fun to get Mark Cleverley on, get caught up, and talk about the office market. Mark Cleverley. We're live.
We're live right now.
This is it.
Let's do it.
So most importantly, my good friend Mark Cleverley. It's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been
We've been partners a long time.
What is it, 11, 12 years?
11 or 12 years. It's been an awesome run.
Yeah, it has. It's been interesting, right?
In fact, I was thinking today,
awesome.
Your brother's gone to Portugal.
Yeah.
And when I walked in this morning, I thought for a minute, I thought, man, it's sad when like one of us aren't here, right?
I know, right? It's fun coming.
I hope you feel the same way when I'm not here.
We do. We feel sad that you're not here.
Yeah, you're so full of it. You're so full of it. No, it's good to have you on and talk a little bit about. So I've talked about you before on here, but you were I met you when you were at TOK.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a funny story. I'm gonna tell the story when I first met you. So it's a great story.
It's a great story. Let's talk about it.
So I started.
We've had some good ones when I was at TOK.
So I started right out of medical school. I started a little tech company.
Yep.
And it was called Stat Pads, and we were cranking it, and we were running it out of our garage. And I literally got on a plane and went to Columbus, Ohio, to the Cintas World Headquarters. And I have my suit on, and I walk in, and I'm like, hey, I'm here to meet with these guys I want to try to sell my software, right? So I go in there, I meet with the main guy. His name was Dave Bingham. Great guy. I meet with him, and we hit it off. And he's like, hey, I really like you. I think I like your service, and this is going to be great. I think we're going to give you a shot at doing this. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, eyes are this wide, and they're very formal. Every single person in the whole place wears suit and tie, name badge, that we had lunch at the cafeteria. Anyone that's been to Cintas World Headquarters, it's a super intimidating place because it's so formal. Everything's formal. Anyway, I end up getting the deal. So he calls me and he's like, hey, the last thing I need to do is I need to come to Boise, and I want to meet your crew. I want to see your office space and just check out, I'm doing my due diligence, making sure you're legitimate, and it's going to be fine. We'll go to dinner. So I think I called you, and I'm like, Mark, I need the cheapest office space.
I think you did. And I was brand new in the business. And I was like, hey, I'm your guy. I will find you the cheapest office space in the entire market.
We looked at some really, really rough space.
Yeah, we looked at some crap. But it was good, right?
So let me finish the story, and then we'll get into your stuff here. But so I rent the space.
Yeah.
I rent people to be my employees.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah.
You rented people.
So I rented people. I actually paid them to just show up, and then he comes into town. I'll never forget. We go to dinner downtown. He comes out. He meets the office crew, and I did legitimately have one employee at the time, but the other ones look great, and they leave, and we've had it was a 20-year relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually told him all of that later on too. I can confess, but. Anyway, Mark, you've been in a long time. You were TOK forever, had a great experience there, and then been with us for a long time. One of the things I want to talk about is just office. It's like a four-letter word.
It is.
Everywhere in the country.
Outside of Boise. I will tell you, outside of Boise, it is a four-letter word.
Why is it so shocking? So let's talk about, because I think for people listening, I think if you talk to any investor or any other market person now, they're like, office is dead.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a combination of a few things. So I've been doing this for over 20 years, and we've seen downturns even in 2008 when it hit. People were still going into the office and working, right? And it wasn't as bad as it is right now. in the big markets, right? In LA, San Francisco, Seattle, you've got big vacancies, buildings are completely empty. When COVID hit, people went home and they haven't come back to the office in some of those markets. Boise, we never really stopped though, right? I mean, Boise never stopped. We left our office space for 3 days, 4 days, and we all called each other and we said, "Hey,
That's one thing about our love.
sucks."
That's one thing about our
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
Like at
Yeah.
our company, I think that no one else would put up with us at home. Working from home wasn't an option
Yeah.
for all of our families.
It
We were
was-
like,
no, they were like, "Get out of the house,
get back.
go back to work."
And we were happy.
We can't take you.
Right?
Yeah, we were happy, and so we came back to work. But in Boise, most people came back to
Yeah.
work pretty quickly. I mean, it took a couple months, but it just has not, outside of the Treasure Valley, it has not come back like we thought.
And we
like
had
we thought
a
it would.
couple of examples. I think one was Paylocity
Yeah,
was out. They're a Chicago-based company.
Yep.
United
States Services,
was
Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
Boston, Massachusetts. Yep.
So they stayed out longer because their corporate policy was to
Yep.
stay out, and so they were some of the last to come back. But most people just kept working.
Yeah, kept working.
What do you think happens in those other markets?
I think eventually you're starting to see more businesses, more companies, these bigger groups
Yeah.
saying you have to come back to work.
Because productivity is not the same.
Productivity is not the same. Now, it's probably going to be a hybrid model for a while, where they're coming in 3 or 4 days a week and having a day at home, right, where they could work from home. But it's coming back. It'll come back. Office is just not the darling of real estate right now. I never thought retail would overtake
so fun.
office, right? Retail 6 years ago, it was like, oh, everybody's doing
Amazon comes
online,
out.
yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Every retail.
No more brick and mortar stores.
That was like
Dead.
the
Yeah.
theme of lots of conferences we went to. No more brick and mortar.
Yeah, no
It's
more
all,
brick and
it's all
mortar.
online, right?
Everybody's shopping online.
Now it's the darling. So I think, we one of the things Arian. So I want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
Kiln because I think
Yeah.
you've been instrumental in that whole thing. But Kiln here is at Eagle View Landing.
Yep.
So it's how many
It's 50,000 square feet.
of co-working space.
Yep.
I think they do a really nice job. Talk a little bit about
Beautiful.
what Arian does there and.
Yeah, beautiful office space. If you go in there, you feel the vibe.
Yeah.
You feel the culture that they've built there, and a lot of single office users, a lot of small companies that are just kind of getting their feet underneath them. We've actually benefited from a couple tenants over there that have grown so much that they outgrow the co-working space and they need a permanent location, right? And so it's been great with Arian because what he does is it's different than a WeWorks.
Yeah.
And a different than a Regis because of the environment that they put around them, and their finishes. And I mean, they've got a barber inside there. They've got their restaurant that's in there. Their food services that are in there, and it's a really cool place to do.
I love how they let each of their tenants kind of decorate, brand their own space. You walk through there, it always has just phenomenal energy there.
Yeah.
So I do think, and he'll tell you, he tells us, we just went to lunch with him a couple weeks ago, he'll tell us that he sees that type of office growing, that there'll be more of this kind of flexible space. He said something to me the other day when we were at lunch that I don't know that I agree with. He's like, but traditional office users, he says, I don't think people will ever work Fridays again. Remember when he said that?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
the hell they won't.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe down in Utah. I guess.
I don't understand that.
I don't know.
I don't understand that. But maybe that is, I don't know, Mark. We get old and set in our ways. But that's what he said is, hey,
what he
you don't
said.
see anyone in these bigger cities coming back and working Fridays. It'll only be 4 days a week and hybrid part of that. But
He's been a great partner though too, and looking to expand in the market because his stat, he'll tell you right now like 3% of all office space is that co-working space, but it's going to grow to that 10 to 15% of all space. And I agree with him that it will, because I think you will still see the gal that moves from California to Boise, and they still work for the company down there, but they have an office here, and they go to an area in a kiln and they lease an office.
Well, and for every one person that says, hey, I love working from home, there are a
Yeah.
few people that say it's really hard working from home.
Yeah.
So depending on what your job does, but if you got kids and distractions and you look at it from the employer side, it can't be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
you don't need to be a rocket scientist to think, okay, hey, buddy, you're at home doing the same thing you do here.
You're on your paddleboard out on the lake. You can't really respond and do.
And then
work.
from your home thing, it's also frustrating. There are people who are like, hey, I just am distracted, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think for a lot of people it works great. And I think in some
Yeah.
jobs that are super trackable metrics and that. But I think it's what he's doing great. Let's get into some of the statistics here because I think this myth
Yeah.
that there's been, well, first of all, you guys have done an incredible job.
Yeah. Our team is amazing.
Your team,
Right. We
yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
You talk about the culture at BVA, and it's all about the team.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
it's you and Holt and Kakoa.
me and Holt and Kikoa and Thomas that does our marketing. And
So I offended the heck out of Kakoa, and I'm never going to live it down. I'm never going to live it down.
Yeah.
The guy won't let it. Won't let it die.
You've driven him.
So
greatness.
so Mark is one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit too far.
Sometimes it gets a little too far.
Then Holt is worse than you.
Holt is worse than me.
Holt's worse than
Yeah.
anyone.
Holt is me on steroids.
He is the most driven. Well, he was
Yeah.
a downhill mogul skier,
Yeah.
23 seconds for
Yeah.
the gold. He
He-
just thinks that way, right?
He was going to be, he was in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
And poor guy hurt his knee right before, but.
But there's you two.
And then you have Kikoa.
Well, then let's talk. I'm
Yeah.
going to redeem myself because he
Okay.
might listen to this podcast.
Yeah, he will.
So Kakoa is 4-year starter at Boise State, safety.
Yep.
Incredible athlete, unbelievable guy, driven like crazy. My point, I mentioned this at the BVEP talk.
Yeah, you did.
I said, we've got guys. They said, what's the secret? I mean, our guys work harder than everyone else.
You called us killers.
I said, they're killers. You guys are. You just work harder.
Yeah.
Like if the playing field is here and we're all on the same playing field, then work is what kind of separates it.
Yeah.
And then I said, we've got a couple of killers, and then we have Kakoa. What I meant by this is he's Hawaiian, right?
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
a little bit, he's a silent killer.
He is a silent
He's
killer.
a silent killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that didn't come across.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get in the parking lot, he's
He's texting us saying,
texting,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not a killer and all this stuff. But anyway, I love that guy. You guys are
He is-
amazing.
he is amazing.
So you've leased up. Tell us the statistics on your absorption over the last few years because it's staggering.
It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, there was in 2021, we leased 86% of all office space in Meridian, which is unbelievable, right? And we've had net absorption of 200,000 square feet plus every year just in our portfolio, right? And now work never stops. We just signed a lease today,
Yeah.
and we are almost 99% leased across our entire office portfolio. It's pretty remarkable what we've done.
A couple comments on that, just because I think it's even more when we had a lot of stuff we did in Utah for a while.
Yeah.
And those buildings were largely single-tenant buildings. They had some shadow vacancy. So a company would take a 100,000 square foot building. They would occupy 60.
Yep.
They would keep 40 to grow into, and you'd sign one lease. And there were a lot of buildings like that. Up here, it's also largely smaller spaces. So the building
Yeah.
we're in right now, where our office is, it's full now, 100% leased.
Yeah, we're 100% leased.
But you've
yeah.
got a blend of I don't know how many companies there. You probably know. Probably
We have
20 something.
No, it's not. It's because we do have a couple large tenants, but we've got 10
10.
companies here.
That fill the building. So
Yeah.
it's also a diverse tenant base that you have, which makes those investments even better because there's more diversity in tenant type. There's diversity in lengths and terms of leases.
Yeah.
It's just they're very healthy buildings too. So it's not like you've got really kind of a stable, steady growth here in the valley.
Yeah.
It's
And they're all being occupied, every space.
which is key.
Like the shadow vacancy, they would build out that 100,000 square feet, and 40 of it was completely empty. But yeah, it's
Yeah, and I guess for people listening, you only lease our space.
yeah, that's all we do. We've had people call us and say, "Hey, can you come help us lease our space out?" And Like, no,
Well, I guess once you hit 100%, that may need to be an option. I'm just sitting here thinking through. No, we got a lot of stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, we
So
do.
let's talk about the projects that you have going on right now, because they're great.
Yeah. So Eagle View Landing, we're just finished. I mean, we're pretty leased out here. You look at the ICCU tower that's under construction downtown. That's going to be an amazing project.
It's Fourth and
It is.
Idaho.
Fourth and Idaho.
How much space?
Right on the corner there, 140,000 square feet total, and we've already we're close to having 5 out of the 7 floors already spoken for. So we've got 40,000 square feet left in that building, and we haven't even put up steel yet.
So fantastic location.
Great, yeah.
And, a great neighborhood.
Great parking downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't, you don't find a building like that downtown that parks as well as it does.
And then you'll be starting another building here at Eagle View Landing, office
Yeah.
building. We'll
Yep.
have another building down at 10 Mile.
Yeah, another
district.
100,000 square feet here at Eagle View Landing that we've got people looking at. We'll hopefully start that in the summer or fall of this year. And then 10 Mile,
Yeah.
right? The district at 10 Mile,
Yeah, we had a great week.
we did.
Well, I'm glad to get back from California.
I know, right? LA,
We went down to LA Monday and met with Fred Bruning, our partners down
Yeah.
there.
the ocean's cool.
The tacos were good.
The tacos were good. The ocean's
Beer was
cool.
great, but get me the heck out of that place.
Get me back to Boise. Yeah.
Anyway, Fred talked you into how much? 200,000 square feet?
160,000 square feet above the retail, which for us, I mean, you
But
saw,
you
you
leased
saw
out-
me in the meeting.
But
I
you
mean, it
leased
was-
out the village too. I think when you were at TOK.
I did. When I was at TOK, we did, me and Valentine, we did all the office space
Yeah.
at the village.
and leased it up, right?
And it was
They-
180,000 square
Yeah.
feet down there.
And they've had really very little vacancy
Very
since
little.
you filled it.
Yeah.
So this will be very similar. So at the district, we'll have kind of the village 2.0.
Yeah.
And have office above retail.
Yep.
And
I mean, you talk about the amenities that are going to be there.
Yeah.
It'll be for an office user to be able to go to a movie after work and go to the restaurants. I mean, there's going to be 25 restaurants out there, and
I hate
gonna
to
be
admit this,
incredible.
but when I was doing 8th and Main downtown,
yeah,
Zions Bank building, there were a couple of tenants. This would have been the time you were landing them at the village.
yeah,
I was so pissed. But it's hard to argue with those amenities, right?
it's hard to argue.
It's hard to argue
Yeah.
because you're saying they're like, hey, we want to be at
Yeah.
the village where we've got all this other stuff and we can bring clients in and I'm like, yeah, but isn't
Yeah.
downtown cool? And
Yeah,
anyway,
downtown's cool, but
anyway, it's going to be a great project. So that's another big one. That's
yeah, that's a huge one. 220 acres.
220 acres.
It's going to be incredible. We're
Yeah.
excited for that one. Yeah.
What else?
Well, I think we have to talk about one of the best relationships that we've ever had is D&B Supply.
Oh yeah.
We just started their office building, and out at North Ranch, we've done their retail building, we did their distribution, and then office. I think they saw the vision of what we do
Yeah.
really well, of creating an environment for where people want to come work, right? And I think for D&B, it was I think they were in 3 to 5 different locations, and they said, we got to be under one roof, and we got to do this, and it's been an incredible relationship with Mark and Brian.
Why don't you
and
spend a
that
little
team.
time on that? Because I've heard the way you present this, but when you're dealing with companies and company culture,
Yeah,
the symbolism and the ability to have a place
yeah,
to gather people, it does a few things. One, it's super efficient because you bring everyone under one roof. Two, it's far easier to create a culture
yeah,
based on space and what you put on the wall and what it feels like when you come to work. And so I think that whether it's for D&B or Power Engineers that you just finished,
yeah,
those things mean something. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I think we talk about this all the time. We want you to come to work and feel like it feels like home, like your second home. You want to be here. And I think there's a flight to quality in even our market where people are saying, hey, the new commodity is people, right? We've got to compete for employees and recruit and retain them, and can't imagine doing it without having a place.
yeah. And I think that's why we've been successful too, right? Is Power Engineers, D&B Supply, you got these companies that they're discombobulated, right? They're not efficient in the way they were working.
Yeah.
And now you got to attract your employees.
Yep.
You got to retain your employees.
Yeah.
And then you got to make a really cool environment for them where they feel really good about coming to work. We talk about, are people going to work on Fridays? Are people going to work on Mondays? Well, if you provide a really cool environment for them, like a power engineers building.
Yeah.
I mean, that building, probably the nicest tenant improvement that we've ever done in our company history. And that is bringing employees back to work for power engineers. They're seeing it. I mean,
It's a great case study because
Yeah.
I think they were in 3 buildings,
yeah,
older buildings. They come under one roof at the right time, getting people back in. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
The D&B guys too.
yeah,
I mean, local company, born and bred in Idaho, killing it. I love telling the story because I feel like a long-time listener, first-time caller with them because I go to D&B like twice a week. That's just like date night for us. So I'm in D&B, and I remember I was like, I'd just gotten out of the field, and I was like dirty and muddy, and I had to run over and grab something, and I'm on an aisle, and I thought, holy smokes, I think they're talking to those guys on the next aisle over. Were you there, or was it Corey and
No,
Brad?
it was Corey. Yeah.
So I come around the corner, I'm like, hey, is everything going okay here?
Yeah.
What a great company, and it's been really fun to be with them and learn from them, and
Yeah.
Mark and Brand are fantastic.
Fantastic people. And I'm pretty sure you've kept the CUNA store open.
I threatened Mark here once. I'm going to show you my American Express, my summary at the end of the year.
I think you have.
Well,
Yeah.
those dang dog but like between the chicken and
Yeah.
goat and horse and
All
cow.
all your animals, all your farm
yeah.
animals.
No, they do a great job.
Yeah.
What a niche they've created in the community, and
Yeah.
they do a great job. Let's talk a little bit about what's most important to you as your family.
Yeah.
It's your first time being on here.
Yeah. My family, yeah, I've got.
I don't know how Tiffany puts up with you.
I don't
to tell you the
either.
truth.
Yeah.
Every time
I think heaven every day that
every
that
time
Tiffany
I'm
is
thinking,
still
man,
very-
this guy, and then I'm like, at least
Yeah.
I'm not Tiffany.
Yeah, at least you're not Tiffany. No, I got a great. I mean, Tiffany's amazing.
She
She is. She keeps our house running, and she's very patient with me and loving, and puts up with all my quirks. And then our 4 kids are amazing. Briar, Lola. I mean, they'll be down at Utah State this year, so we're gonna miss them like crazy. But our boys keep us moving and shaking, and they think they're coming to work at the farm this summer.
They're coming to work at the farm.
Oh, yeah,
I'm saving some stuff up for those guys.
Put some hair on their chest.
Big time athletes.
Yes, yeah, they're great athletes. In fact, I mean, that's how I met Keikoa. Keikoa was training both of them football, and so Keikoa loves my boys and has trained them up really well. And I don't know. I hope they can follow in his footsteps someday.
He is an incredible guy.
He is an incredible guy.
And he is tenacious.
He is
He
tenacious.
is the one tenacious
Silent
son of a
killer.
gun. Silent
The
killer.
silent killer.
Hey, let's talk about Lola's cakes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna put some pub out there for her.
So we have a birthday party every month for
Yeah.
the employees that have birthdays
Yeah.
that month, and your daughter's been making cakes for
She's
few
been
years.
making cakes for a long time. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like we're an athletic family. Tiffany played soccer and ran track in high school. I played baseball and basketball, and we've always just known sports. And Lola comes along, and she was, 6 years ago was diagnosed with arthritis, juvenile arthritis. You remember going through that
Yeah.
when we first started BVA, actually. And so she couldn't play sports anymore. We're like, well, you got to find something. You got to do something to do. And she started making cakes, and she has her own business, Cakes by Lola. And she is like, all throughout high school, that was her job. And she made cakes like probably 3 a week, and did.
I'm so mad at her because like this was the weekend
Yeah.
we could start eating good.
Yeah,
So
she brought
first
a
of all,
cake
we
in.
go down to LA
Yeah.
and have Mexican food on
Yeah.
the beach,
Yeah,
like something Diabla.
you had the yeah.
Anyway, then yesterday she has a white chocolate fresh
White
raspberry.
chocolate raspberry cake.
And I'm like, I got my 3rd piece, and I'm like, gotta stop. It's so good.
Yeah,
She's great.
so good.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
I got one other thing to talk to you about. Tell us about your mom.
My mom,
Your mom was the first person I met when I came to Boise.
yeah.
Very
Yeah,
first person.
I mean, you and I met in real estate, but
Yeah.
you knew my mom
Yeah.
before that.
Legend.
She is a legend. She's the best banker in
Yeah.
the Treasure Valley, right? I mean, we follow her wherever she goes. She's over at ICCU now, but she is my mom and my dad. We'll talk about my dad too, as quirky as he is sometimes. He's an amazing. Ryan and I talk about it all the time. Our parents were the best parents ever, and our mom was so nurturing and loving and caring. Yet she was pretty stern with us and taught us how to be good kids and raised us right. And so that's been really good for us, for me as an adult, seeing how my mom raised me and my dad and trying to instill those same values in my kids.
Yeah, incredible people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she, again, 20 whatever years it is, 25 years now, and she is, there's no one better.
There's no
one better than her.
Yeah.
And anyone that knows her is the same thing. What's it like being the favorite child? And do not deny it.
Oh, man. For everybody listening, it's a running joke in the office.
It's 100% true.
It probably is. I'm sorry, Ryan, Jennifer, Nicole. But it's, yeah.
Do you know how
I'm just more loving than Ryan.
Do you know
I'm
how
just more
this
caring.
is how bad it is?
Yeah.
I didn't even know Nicole existed
Yeah,
until like a few years ago. And then I'm like, you have another sister? I thought it was only you. And then sometimes Ryan and you're like, yeah. So I ran into her at a Maverick one.
You ran into her
morning.
Maverick, yeah.
And I'm like, I am so glad to see you exist. I think she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I didn't know you existed.
Yeah,
For all
known your family for 20 plus years, and
you're
didn't know
definitely the favorite.
yeah.
Okay, I got some questions for you.
Okay.
Most important business lesson you've learned to date?
I would probably say making sure. So for me, it's all about being transparent and being honest in everything that you do. I think, and we see that in our culture, right? We see the repeat business that we get, and we see the people coming because they want to work with people that are genuine, and they want to work with people that are, if it's bad news, tell me the bad news. If it's good news, tell me the good news. But be transparent with me and be honest with me, and so that I can trust you. And I think that that's what's made us really successful at BVA, is people, they trust us. And they know that we're going to do the right thing for them, and we'll always follow through with what we say we're going to do.
I think, and I love that about you, and I think vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like, because things are hard. Deals are hard.
Oh, deals are hard.
Deals are hard. I mean, you get people all the time like, oh, yeah, whatever. It's, it's easier. I'm like, it's not easy.
It's not.
It's brutal. Getting a deal from A to Z. And I think about you, Mark, I tell everyone this. I don't know anyone I've known in real estate that has a better skill set of I meet you the first time and we get a deal done. It's an art and you do it well, but I think vulnerability, like it happens probably once a week here where we got bad news on something.
Yeah.
And just being able to hit that head on and say, I got bad news, but we're still going to get through it.
We're still going to get through it.
We're going to find a way through it. I think that's great.
Can I tell you a story real quick? It was at our previous company. You talk about, people think deals are easy, right? They look at what we do and they're like, oh, you guys build these buildings and it can't be that hard. And I remember one of the employees that was down there came in to my office and was like, hey, I really want to do what you do. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have what it takes, kind of, right? And she was like, no, I really want to do what you do. And I think I could do it. I think it doesn't look that hard. And I remember listening to this and I'm thinking, you have no idea. Like, yes, it looks, to the outside eye, it looks easy, but it's not. I mean, it's a grind. And
it is a grind.
It is a grind.
And it seems like we don't celebrate enough.
Yeah. We don't.
We don't.
We go to lunch and we say, okay, next deal.
We probably won't ever.
Yeah.
But you remember the ones that don't go well, right? Forever. Because you put so much time and effort into them, and for whatever reason they don't work, and those are the ones you never forget.
But you never stop.
You never stop.
You never stop. I mean, we talk about power engineers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Power engineers.
How many times?
3 different on our third swipe, right?
Yep.
First time, totally disappointed. I remember where I was sitting in the parking lot the second time.
Yeah.
I was still an ER doc. I was sitting in the parking lot and I talked to their broker. And I remember getting off the phone thinking, I was so mad.
Yep.
And didn't get them. And then on the third time, but I think how you handle those are also important.
Yeah.
and again, just trying to always take the high road. I see you do that all the time.
Yeah. You have to know it's going to come back.
There's been some times in the last few years where it wasn't so easy taking the high road.
No, and as I get older in my career, and I'm like, forget it. I'm not taking the high road. I got to say what I really think.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
Most important, I said business lesson, now life lesson.
Yeah, I think life lesson is something that my dad taught me. And it was just kind of a quirky saying that he would always say to me and Ryan, actually. And he would always tell us, if it is to be, it's up to me. Right? And so that has always stuck with me, with trying to teach my boys the same thing. You know, if you want it to happen, you got to go get it for yourself. You have to go make it happen. You can't sit around, and you can't think, oh, well, I need this, and I need that, and I need this to happen. Well, stop sitting around, get to work, get back to the office, or get whatever you're doing, and perfect your craft. And I think that's also what makes us really successful here. Is you're a guy that you never stop working, right? It's always, I got to do the next thing. And because we're driven by, we want to be successful people in business, but we also want to be successful in the community. And we want to be, we just want to be great leaders and people here. So that's what I would say is, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yeah, I don't think, just to add to that, I think it's a process too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to, tomorrow night, Odette Bolano is retiring, and I get to go speak at her little thing. And I was thinking about her today and what I was going to say it there. But you think about someone like that never stops evolving and becoming a better leader or a better person or a better, I think that's we're all built with DNA and some parts to us, but then it's about growth, right?
Yeah.
It's about never being satisfied and doing it for the right reasons, and you're a great example of that. Okay, last question. I've never asked you that. Do you have a mentor or hero growing up that you looked up to?
Well, I've had a couple. My grandpa Cleverley was probably my hero when I was a kid. It's because he was the most loving person, very interested in what you were doing, and always, caring, coming and talking. They lived in eastern Idaho. They lived in Rexburg. We lived here in Boise, so we didn't get to see him as much as I would have liked to. But when we did see him, he was totally engaged with us, and he loved everything about us and what we were doing, and so he was a huge mentor for me in growing up and seeing in how he lived his life. And he served 4 missions for his church, right? And that was big for me, knowing that he was out serving and doing what he thought was right. In the business, in real estate, Pat Shawls mentored me.
Patty Shawls making an appearance on the podcast.
That's right. We got to get him on here.
What the? Yeah, I love that guy.
I love Pat.
Yeah.
And he taught me a lot about the business and taught me a lot about, just getting started, right? And so Pat was
What a great example of how to treat people too.
Yeah. Pat treats everyone with love and respect. Yeah.
Always.
Always.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Pat, we love you.
Yeah, we do love Pat.
I don't know if he listens to this.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell him to listen.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. Thanks. That was a great update. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Fun.
Thank you.
Fun times.
Good
Thanks.
stuff.